Good morning, Year 3. This week we're going to be learning about angles, and today we're going to be trying to find right angles in different shapes. But first of all, you need to know what an angle is. An angle is the space where two lines meet in a shape, where two sides meet, the space in the middle is the angle. So the space between where two lines meet. To measure angles, we would often use a protractor, which is a sort of half circle. You probably have seen these before if you've bought maths kits, and we have lots in school. And we will learn to measure angles at some point, but this week we won't be measuring the angles. We'll just be naming different angles. And today we're trying to name right angles in shapes. Now, I've actually drawn 4 examples of right angles. A right angle is a perfectly straight line and a perfectly horizontal line. And that space in the middle is a right angle. It's because it is exactly 90 degrees. And we would know that if we used a protractor. But today we'll be looking at the shapes and trying to work them out and using something else to measure. And it doesn't matter which direction the shape is going or which direction the lines are going. These are all right angles. There is no such thing as a left angle. Sometimes that confuses some people. All of these are right angles, which is a perfectly straight line and a perfectly horizontal line. Obviously, this right angle is facing a different way to this right angle, but it is still a perfectly straight line and a perfectly horizontal line. We're actually going to use something today to help us measure and test if something is a right angle. All you need to get is a piece of paper and cut the corner off, because a piece of paper is a perfectly horizontal line and a perfectly straight line that makes the corner. So the corner of a piece of paper is a right angle. I'm actually going to quickly pause this just so I can colour this shape, because it'll be easier for you to see when I put it onto the board. So I've now coloured the corner of this piece of paper, and I can use this now to check if any of these angles are right angles. All I would need to do is get the corner and try to put the corner exactly over the two lines. It fits perfectly in that space, so I know that is a right angle. And I could just turn it around now and I can check the other angle. And again, it fits perfectly in that space, so I know it's a right angle. And again, this one is on its side slightly, but it doesn't mean that it's not a rectangle. A right angle, sorry. I just need to turn my piece of paper slightly, and again, it'll fit perfectly in that space. I'll move it away and I'll just move it back into that space. So again, you can see that that is a right angle as well. Now, your job today will have you looking at these shapes that are on the sheet, and you have to cut them out. Obviously, yours will be on 2 bits of paper, mine's back to back. You have to cut out the shapes and stick them in the correct place. If the shape has no right angles, it would go here. If the shape has one right angle, it will go here. And if the shape has more than one right angle, it would go here. I've drawn a few onto the board. You may want to pause the video at this point. Try to make your little corner of paper, and you might be able to use the screen even to see if you can work out if any of these shapes have right angles and how many right angles each of these shapes have. You could have a check yourself. You might be able to do it just by looking. You might be able to know, but it is useful to use a piece of paper, a corner, just to check and be certain. If you did go away and check, well done. If not, we're going to run through them now. So over here, this shape is a rectangle. And you may know already that a rectangle will have 4 right angles, but we're still going to check. I'm going to put this shape into each corner, and again, I can see it fits perfectly into each corner. So I know that each of these angles is a right angle. I will circle them. You could circle them on your sheet as well, so you know which of the angles are right angles. Over here I have a triangle. And again, I can use this corner of paper to check. So now we're going to see one that isn't a right angle. I can put it over here and I can see that this corner doesn't fit perfectly in there. My right angle doesn't fit over the top of that angle. That angle is much smaller, so that's not a right angle. And it's the same with the angle at the top. That angle is smaller than a right angle. A right angle will be perfectly straight and perfectly horizontal. You can see that that is much smaller. And I can check the final one, and this time it does fit perfectly in that space. So that corner is a right angle. Over here I have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-sided shape. I have a pentagon. I'm just going to move across. And again, I can use my piece of paper to check each of the angles. This one is a right angle. This one is also a right angle. This one in the middle isn't. This is bigger than a right angle. It doesn't fit exactly in that space. And the same with this space over here. And this one at the top actually is close, but again, it's smaller than a right angle. Sorry, my hand's in the way there. It's smaller than a right angle. So this shape also had, this shape had 2 right angles. And finally, this shape over here, a 4-sided shape, a quadrilateral, I can also use my right angle checker to check all of these. Now it's been turned on its side slightly, like this angle I drew up here, but again, it doesn't mean that they are not right angles. I would use my corner here just to check them all. It fits exactly in each of these spaces. So again, each one of these angles is also a right angle. So your job for today, cut out each of these shapes and stick them in the correct place, whether they have no right angles, 1 right angle, or more than 1 right angle. And you can even try to show which of the angles are right angles as well, if you can. Then you can try and draw a shape with 3 right angles and a shape with 4 right angles if you can. As a final thing, if you finish that and you have time, you could go around your house and see if you can find examples of right angles. For example, I can go onto my board here, I can have a look at my learning objective banner on the board, and I know that fits perfectly in that corner, so that is a right angle. See if you can find any going around your house. If there are any questions, please pop onto Google Meet. I will be there after about half an hour of the lesson if you want to check any answers or ask me any questions. I look forward to seeing your work. Thank you for watching, Year 3.